Hi, welcome to the Save Our Homes breakdown. In this module, we're going over the extra perks, how it works, what it looks like over time, and 2 examples with a case study at the end. The Florida homestead is more than just a property tax exemption. It's also an asset protection tool and a cap on property assessments. What does that mean? With Homestead, there's no limit to the amount of value you can protect for your estate. Plus, there's a 3% max assessment value increase cap against your homesteaded property. Let's take a closer look. If your house is fully paid off, or maybe you have a lot of equity built up, if you were ever sued and there was a judgment against you, Florida law protects your homesteaded property. You won't be forced to sell to pay that judgment, even if your home was worth millions of dollars. Of course, there's exceptions. Just briefly, make sure you keep your homestead in good standing, pay your property taxes, avoid bankruptcy, and don't default on any principal payments. For example, liens against your homesteaded property. When it comes to the assessment cap, as long as your homestead is in good standing, you automatically get the Save Our Homes cap, meaning your annual assessments will only increase max 3% or the consumer price index, whichever is the lowest. In the long term, this helps prevent people from being taxed out of their homes. Let's see what the Save Our Homes cap looks like over time. In this example, we'll use a starting assessment value of $250,000 over a 30-year span. For demonstration purposes, let's suppose we have a 9% rate increase over 30 years. That would mean at year 30, your assessment value would be over $3 million. However, thanks to the Save Our Homes cap, your max increase rate could only be 3%. Over 30 years, your highest assessment value that you would see would be a bit over $600,000. Going one step further, here's what the math would look like if you had the 9% versus a 3% rate. At year 30, would you rather pay $10,000 or nearly $60,000? We're talking about a theoretical difference of $50,000. I call this the Save Our Homes cap savings. Let's see what the Save Our Homes cap looks like starting with $500,000. Using the same rate increases, at year 30, there's a drastic difference between assessment values. At the 9% rate, we're talking about $6.6 million versus the 3% rate, which is about $1.2 million. Going further, here's what the math looks like. At year 30, the difference is nearly $100,000. In my case, according to my local property appraiser, my first 2 years, the assessment value and market value were equal. Then for the following 5 years, my assessment value increased at a 2% rate, my market value increased at like a 5% rate. Let's say if I didn't have the Save Our Homes cap and I had to pay my property taxes based off my market value, keeping the same homestead exemption, at year 7, I would have paid over $5,000 more. Here's what it looks like in a graph. And for my grand total, all things considered, after 7 years, here's my savings. Here's what that looks like in a graph. We're talking about more than $11,000 in savings. Pretty awesome. There you go, Module 4 complete. I'll see you in the next one.